At T-Mobile, our critical mission is providing unparalleled 5G coverage for when connectivity is mission critical. Introducing T-Priority, America's best 5G network experience for first responders, even in times of congestion. More capacity, faster speeds, better coverage. T-Priority from T-Mobile, built for tomorrow's emergencies, ready today. Discover more at t-priority.com.
For qualifying organizations on eligible rate plans, coverage not available in some areas and may be impacted by emergencies.
Are your ulcerative colitis symptoms proving difficult to manage? Tremfya guselkumab can help you manage the cycle of UC symptoms. At 1 year, many patients taking Tremfya achieved clinical remission, and some patients also achieved endoscopic remission. Individual results may vary. Tremfya is a prescription medicine used to treat adults with moderately to severely active ulcerative colitis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and TB. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Ask your doctor if Tremfya can help you manage the cycle of UC symptoms. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more or visit tremfyaradio.com.
I actually went on a jazz tour with my school when I was younger, of Europe.
Of Europe?
Yeah. But it wasn't, it wasn't good.
But you were playing drums?
Yeah, I was playing drums, yeah.
Around your neck?
Little bow tie and that. No, full drum kit. Yeah.
I saw that video for the first time last night with Jared Leto.
Oh, yeah. That's fun. With the Jared Leto thing, I actually didn't know who he was at first. And we were sitting there. We had to do like a little skit with Rita Ora. Yeah, Rita Ora, yeah. Sorry, I forgot the name.
Dua Lipa, Rita Ora. Is that what you were thinking?
No, pick up Rita, yeah. I was like, is it Rita or Rhea? Yeah, and then we just had to stay and like, whatever, if you get involved, you get involved.
Yeah.
In the sort of like interviews that are happening, but probably don't get involved if you're talking. Do you know what I mean? That sort of thing. Had a few champagnes there in our trackies and all that. And I was sitting next to Hugo, who plays DJ Beats. And I was like, who's that? He's dressed mad. I was more uneducated on fashion at the time. And then Hugo was like, oh, that's Jared Leto. I was like, I genuinely couldn't hear him. And I was like, Jay Leno? And he was like, no, but that's amazing. Please say that to him. And I was like, no, I can't. He's like, say it. I was like, yeah, go on. And then I was just like, grabbed the mic and I was like, you Jay Leno. That history was made.
Being MC Grindah, I imagine that gives you like a lot of freedom.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because that conversation happened between me and Hugo was out of character. Me and me. No, I couldn't. Oh yeah, go on in actually, because I can. And it was he obviously didn't have a good sense of humor as well. He took it seriously, which was even better.
Have you had times where like you like found such a community audience, whatever you want to call it, as like a character? Have you had those moments where you're like, fuck, who am I?
Oh, like that. Do you know what it is?
Am I Allan? Am I MC Grindah?
Yeah, it's so close to like how I grew up and people I grew up with that that was already a thing anyway. Like in a sense of not that I was ever MC Grindah, but like when you're like a young sort of teenage, even to some extent early 20s, like male in London that's part of like rude boy culture and stuff, you've kind of always got a mask. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, it was always a thing of like who, and also like being from a foreign background, and I wasn't around people from my background as well. There's always like a thing with different masks. Do you know what I mean? But like I always know who I am deep down. Do you know what I mean?
Totally. I think when I meet a friend's parents,
yeah,
I will be like, hello, Allan. If I saw her on the road, I'd be like, all right, Allan.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Exactly. That's the thing. Like, especially with me, like. That happened with like, I don't know, sometimes you might see a kid, like a little kid that's from somewhere like, I don't know, Leeds or Essex with a strong accent. And it's like a little 4-year-old, he's talking like that, like a chimney sweep. You know what I mean? But it's like my household, they both had accents. My dad Kurdish, my mum's Czech.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that. It was like, I'm just taking wherever the accents, whoever I meet or whatever. Do you know what I mean? But I'm still saying stuff like, close the light. Because that's how my mum speaks. Like, close the light. Yeah. And I'm like, what's wrong with close the light? I don't know, just turn the light off. Yeah. I'm talking at 19. Or like laundry instead of laundry, because that's how my mum said it.
How old were you when you moved over?
No, I was born here.
Okay.
Yeah. But stop trying to send me back home.
I'm not trying to send you back home. It's been 27 years. But you must feel that from your parents.
No, for sure. Yeah, no, it definitely... like within the home, it was speaking Czech, speaking Kurdish, and only eating those foods.
Right.
You know, and all the culture was from that. You know,
You got a nice palate then.
Yeah, it's very refined palate. But like, you know, like my dad comes from, like my mum grew up in like communist Prague, right? That's like, you know, I guess trauma's passed down, you know, like through that. And then my dad's from like Kurdistan, where, you know, to this day, to an extent, like we haven't got our own country. Do you know what I mean? So
Turkey kind of rejected Kurds, is that right?
Yeah. Well, pretty much every country where there's Kurds, they've rejected them. But then now in the north of Iraq, we have our own Kurdistan, which is like a state that's recognised by us, but it's not on any maps or anything like that.
Which that's so much tension.
Yeah.
In itself.
Yeah.
Just from like.
And there's my dad
immediate.
like screaming on the phone with his friends about politics, you know, sending money out to the Peshmerga, like who are the freedom fighters out there, you know. So it's there's no like English culture within our home. Do you know what I mean? But then I step outside the home and it's pure just like like blazing graffiti. Do you know what I mean? Music.
Did you find your crew at school? It's like Hugo and all the rest of them.
No, they're not from my school. They're from I met them around more college times.
Yeah.
After that, so at school would have been like the sort of garage and jungle days.
Yeah.
So like raving.
Yeah.
It's pretty much like bunking school, drugs, raving.
Watching Tower Block Dreams.
Yeah, that was years later.
Okay.
I was living that around then. I was doing pirate radio. Kurupt FM was a real pirate radio station.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Completely different to this, but like, yeah. Like,
you had it.
Yeah.
If you're going to write about it, and we're like fast forwarding here, and by the way, we'll probably go backwards and forwards this whole time, but write about what you know, right? Mm-hmm. My mum always said that. She was like, if you've experienced something, like you've been in a house fire, or you've been in you're the best person to write about that experience, because you've got the smells, the sounds, the sensitivity of it.
Yeah, who better to share that? Yeah, to translate that to people, for sure, man. Yeah, I don't think a show like that could be done to the extent of detail. I'm not saying to the level of quality, like, because that's like, I mean, like, because it's authentic, it's real. Do you know what I mean? Like, and you know, there were shows before it that were like, you know, even stuff like Ali G, like we grew up on that, we found that hilarious, but it wasn't authentic. Do you know what I mean? Like it was a pastiche. It was
bigger. It was just bigger.
Yeah, it was ridiculous, basically. But it's still funny, of course. But yeah, so for us, it weren't just a comedy. It was like doing something like a love letter to our formative years.
Because I think there are all people who have watched it. You must have met loads of these people who have thought like, I thought you were being disrespectful.
Yeah,
I thought you were being rude.
Yeah, like it's funny because like most people from the actual scene, they didn't feel like that because they know they can feel it. Do you know what I mean? Like it's something that they went through. Like you know. Like I've had people text me like, like when I saw it, that, you know, the setup was just like the setup we'd have in a kitchen in a pirate radio station. Do you know what I mean? Like, and to me, that meant more than anything. That like, you've clocked that. You know, like those little things. Or even fashion-wise, the way we used to do our laces on our trainers, that showed that you were from one area, or you know, like all these
bunny
things.
ears.
Yeah, the bunny ear hat. Yeah, all of that. Oh man, that's all from school era.
Around that time, around like being a teenager, were you coming into town? I mean, we're at the Social now.
Oh, so do you know what's funny? It sounds like it's staged. Do you know what's funny? But it's not. After the sort of pirate radio era, when I started going to college and meeting people more from different backgrounds and that were into different music and stuff, like I really got into like 90s hip hop and rapping, and more like, I guess the equivalent of, you know, someone getting into like communism in the 70s, like really obsessed with it. It's all about lyrical. It's all about
identity.
Revolutionary. It's my identity. Yeah, exactly. And one of the first places we performed that was here.
Damn.
With a little rap crew. Yeah.
Downstairs.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
That's sick.
It's probably, I think it's just like an open mic night or whatever that we just took over. But
that's the thing about these places, that you'll see like they'll have the book shows by booking agents and promoters, and they'll have the DIY nights. Yeah. You know, they're places where you make things happen. The place doesn't make it happen. The people involved do.
It's so true.
It sounds quite earnest.
It's funny when we talk about, like, back then it used to be like really like grungers or rude boys.
It's tribal.
Yeah, it's very tribal. But if you think about it, we were both on the sides of not the mainstream. Do you know what I mean? Like rude boys were like wanted to be part of like crime and graffiti and like living like outlaws in a sort of sense. Do you know what I mean? And then the punks were just like, fuck all that shit. We're doing our own
Make your own party.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So like we kind of both, we both get both sides of those things. I mean, like I said earlier, I used to play the drums before that, and I've hair down to here. So I knew about that side of things. It's just about 12 years old, I was like, nah, I'm jumping into the other camp. Yeah.
Did you have that moment at some point in like your 20s or something when you were like, I just don't want to, don't want to do a 9 to 5?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I used to think it was just laziness, but now I know it's because I'm creative. But yeah, I never wanted to, man. I hated work. Do you know what? I always remember, so like a lot of my family from Czech Republic, they're like working class, you know, like mechanics, like good with their hands. Do you know what I mean? Like painter and decorators, like I was never good with my hands. And I was never good at school, like academically. And I remember my uncle came to like help us, like from Prague, came to help like fix up our house and paint it and stuff. And I was just sitting on the floor watching him, and he's like, "You're not going to help?" I was like, "Nah, I don't really like working. You do." Thinking that it's a thing, that he was like, "I don't like working. It's just what you have to do."
What about money though? Were you good with money? Could you save money? And
I always had the odd job, but I'd hold up the job for like 5 to 6 months, and then I'd sign on for like 6 months.
Thinking man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's like, I mean, the stuff I'd go through just to not work, I might as well have just worked. Like printing out CVs, pretending to go to high streets, waiting around the corner. Just go and do it. Do you know what I mean? But like, what I didn't realize then was like, it wasn't because I was lazy. It's because I didn't know what I really wanted to do in life. Do you know what I mean? And I wasn't ever like, I used to play the drums, and then I really wanted to be a rapper, and I'd make beats, and I'd like all these things, like, you know, like filming weird little things. Like that was all a type of work, but I just didn't know it at the time. Do you know what I mean? And I wasn't in a society that told me that you can do that. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, nail on head. And I think that's where like there's a serious undertone. It's like taking something that's fun seriously.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right.
It's like a really fascinating thing because no one teaches you to do that.
Yeah, and it's hard.
No one rewards you to do that until way later.
It is hard because I did like music tech at college, right? And for a bit at uni, and I just dropped out. But trying to work hard at it took the fun out of it. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I don't really want to learn about like recording it through a funnel, like, do you know what I mean? I just want to make beats. Do you know what I mean? It's it took like the creativity out of it. So it's hard, isn't it? Sometimes it's like that. It's that perfect balance. And it wasn't until I met like Hugo and Steve and all that, who I make People to Nothing with, and Asim, that I realized, oh, you can actually do fun things, but maybe be a bit aspirational about it, you know, and something might come out of it. Yeah, you know, without doing it for that though.
I often, when you say that, it makes me think like, you want to do something that's like immediate.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what good music is to me. I mean, a lot of, obviously there are the records that you listen to 10 times and then they become your favorite. But if you're making something, you want to make it fun for you. You want to make it come from that little kernel of...
I think if it's fun for you, then other people feel that. Do you know what I mean? Totally. Especially, you know, like the most obvious version of that is a gig. Like if you're on stage having fun, then they're going to be like feeding it as well. It's immediate. Do you know what I mean? But it's the same thing with like when we're shooting a TV series to when we're like fucking around someone's room on a YouTube thing. Do you know what I mean? Like it's the same thing. Yeah.
I watched Peacock.
Oh yeah.
A few months ago, and I thought this is so good. This is so funny. Thanks, and I'm very happy to tell that to your face. I like telling people I'm a fan of your art.
No, I appreciate that.
And the thing that struck me, I was like the People Just Do Nothing characters, or the Kurupt FM associates, cohorts, is like, I know these personal trainers,
right?
I know these people. These are real people.
Yeah.
And you're taking the piss out of them, which is great, but they probably also take the piss out of themselves.
Yeah, man, and it's like that's really nice because I think everything we do. Especially as a group, we always want to try and make it as realistic as possible. Like, obviously, it's a comedy and it's all heightened, but the characters, you know, they're people we've met. They're inspired by people. You know, they're always a sort of amalgamation of people we've met along the way.
Real life is funny.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, mate. That's what I mean. Yeah.
You can be overhearing someone.
As soon as you realise that, you're going to have an easier life. You've got to laugh at things, otherwise you cry. Facts,
do you work? It is facts. Do you work together a lot? What's your group chat? Is it you, Steve's, Hugo?
Me, Steve, Hugo, Daniel Sylvester, which is Decoy, and Marvin Alvarez, who is Fantasy. Well, who lives in Spain now, but we've still got group chat.
And how do you divvy up?
It's called Mental with capital letters.
Spelled properly.
Yeah.
Missed the trick there. You put a 4 in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That'd be
Damn.
cool.
I might change that tonight. Actually.
Yeah, credit me though.
Yeah. No, well, what in brackets? Just say your name.
Giles.
Yeah.
Funny story.
Yeah.
When I started this show, I was working at Ticketmaster, which I got fired from for being too much of a waste man. Going in too late. And I met my friend who works in post-production. He's got like a BAFTA and Emmy, works on some great stuff.
Sick.
Me and him. And so I felt professional being in his presence.
Yeah.
Which is why I say it. And I saw Steve's and I just started this podcast.
Okay.
And I was like, Steve's, I've started a podcast. This is how I remember it anyway. Steve's, my name's Giles. Just started this podcast. Would you like to be a guest on it? You just saw his eyes being like, no,
for
mate.
fuck's sake.
So here I am. Here I am with you.
Another person who started a podcast and just wants me to be the first guest.
But how do you divvy up if you've written something or if you've got an idea? Because you obviously you're in each other's stuff.
Yeah, so it's always there's always like a reason, like I wouldn't just be in Steve's. Peacock was written by Steve.
Yeah.
Then it came on to like help with the writing and stuff to tweak it to my character and stuff. But I wouldn't just be in it because I'm his mate. Do you know what I mean? It was right for the role.
Yeah.
And
Hugo had his show when he's
working. Hugo had his show, Sneakerhead. Exactly. We've got Hugo in on Peacock as well.
Yeah.
Because that was a smaller role. That was because we wanted to get him in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just be on camera together again. And but it differs. Like with people just do nothing, it would be all of us together coming up with the ideas. Then Steve doing a first draft and me doing notes on the first draft, then sending it to the other boys. Then with something like, I don't know if it's boring and technical, but I'll say it anyway. And then with The Curse that we did with Tom Davis and James DeFron, we all had a writer's room together and then we divided up the episodes. But then we would note on each other's things. So it's always really collaborative, but with some people pulling more weight than others.
That's pro.
Yeah.
I like that. And I think you're right, it is like inside baseball, technical stuff. But
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
inspiring.
Yeah. Okay, sweet.
It's just like, how does it work?
Yeah.
That shit's interesting.
Yeah, it would interest me, but it might. Yeah,
Well, this is what I've got a show trying to do it, so don't ruin it. All right, don't pull the pin.
Yeah.
Do you have you like settled into that feeling of like this is what I do now? There was that great video. I forget the guy's name, but he's like an Instagram influencer.
Yes.
And he's asked people what their dream is.
Oh yeah. I bumped into him in Bangkok.
Exactly. And there's that really lovely clip of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where you're like, I'm doing it.
Yeah, that's the thing, and I wouldn't really admit that before. Do you know what I mean? But it's been 12 years now, so it's like, I don't know. I thought it was like that's kind of faux humbleness to be like, I don't know, like that British sort of thing. It's like I am doing it now. Do you know what I mean? And and I do believe in what I can do, but you can always get better. I'm always learning, and there's always a bit of imposter syndrome, but I think that's important, man. Like especially when you're doing anything to do with creative. Endeavors or whatever, and that's why collaboration for me is key, because I'm never going to be right. Do you know what I mean? Like no one's ever. I think you just need to bounce off. Or me personally, I like to bounce off people. Do
you have those things where you're like, is this a good idea or is it like a actually bad?
Yeah,
one?
exactly. Yeah. Never. I think of something, I know it's great. No, all the time, man. Yeah, and that's what's great about having, especially when you're doing things with the boys. Like we're all best mates. We all like share each other's sense of humor, and also, but are all very different from each other and trust each other's opinions. Do you know what I mean? So
that's huge.
Yeah, and if I say something that gets shut down, I'm like, I'm wrong then. Do you know what I mean?
I think there's a lot of people out there who are doing similar to what you do, or like artists by themselves, and they don't they might have a few mates, or they might text their family.
Yeah. But it's super lucky to have 100%, because sometimes people, like you might do a Q&A and people ask for advice and that. All I say is collaboration, but who am I to say that? I'm lucky that I've met these people that you trust their opinions. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I know I'm very fortunate and lucky, and that's why I do like to still work with them, and even if it's just advice, even if it's just sending them a script and seeing what they think on it, like I trust their opinion more than anyone else.
So that's a huge one, asking for advice. Yeah, and like young males not used to doing that, so good. We're not brought up saying you can do that.
Yeah, for real.
But it's such a massive help, isn't it?
100%. I've always been more. I'm a way more open person. I think maybe because of my like European background or like Middle Eastern background. You know what I mean? It's a bit different.
You're on the voice notes.
Yeah,
you're on the notes.
Oh, that's my shit. So like, but then again, all of us as boys that come from, I guess, a time where we didn't speak about things, but we are more open-minded and stuff. We know to do that now more. Do you know what I mean? But when it comes to the creative stuff, definitely, What are
you working on now? Like, how does it work? Like, do you wait for a project to come around? Things take a few months to get like approved or commissioned, right?
Yeah, and things. the thing is, like, I'm at the point now where, you know, you'd think that doing it longer, everything's going to work even better. Like, people are going to say yes to everything. But no, I've been doing it for so long now that I'm realizing that people say no to things as well. Do you know what I mean? We were super lucky that the first ever thing we tried as untrained, unknown, you know, people,
scallywags,
pieces of shit, worked. Do you know what I mean? Or to a certain extent, as in we got to live out what we wanted to for it and put something out there. But like, there's loads of ideas that we've put through, and it's, you know, there's budget issues, there's all this stuff, you know. Like,
how does that feel?
It feels, I think, because I have to remind myself that we're so fortunate to do, like, we did 5 series, a couple albums, touring all over the UK and parts of Europe, and a film off the back of one idea. Then, like, how dare I be like, why can't my other one work? You know, it's like, oh yeah, I think I need to, like, humble yourself, you know that you're a piece of shit and so am I. We're all the same. Do you know what I'm saying? That's what I say. Yeah.
Still warm.
yeah. But do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, and we're in a time where, you know, things are tougher with money, budgets, all that sort of stuff. So it just means the idea wasn't right.
But you're human as well. You're going to be, do you ever get...
And also doing auditions, loads of auditions, you don't get them, you know, but you just have to be thick-skinned. If I hadn't achieved what I'd achieved, and I didn't have these friends around me that I trust and believe in and feel safe with, and I was just an actor and I was getting no for every audition, that would be super tough. Of course it would, but I've got all these other things to lean on. So yeah, it is tough, but you compartmentalize it a little bit. It's funny because when we first started, like, the TV series, and it was out for like 3 series, and we'd poured our heart and soul into it. Sometimes you get, mate, love that show. The YouTube stuff is the good stuff though, wasn't it? You know that, right? Like, well, no, I've really tried on this. I thought it was pretty good. But
it's the demo.
But at the end of the day, I don't respect their opinion. So no, but then that's because it's not just me. It's like we've got each other. It's like you can have that sort of force field of fuck what other people think. We know we're doing. We've poured everything into this and done it. But what I would say is quite a lot, and that's just because of I'm not doing massive things on Netflix with billboards everywhere and stuff like that. So it's not anyone's fault, but they'll be like, love people to nothing. You done anything since then? Was it? It's a bit quite. Well, like, I've done like 4 other series since then. Do you know what I mean? But
and those things might not get marketed as much.
No, exactly.
Like, to be honest, I didn't see any adverts for Peacock.
No, man.
I had to search for that.
But that's just what it's like with UK TV, right? Unless you're a massive household name. The only reason you know about People to Nothing is because, well, first of all, you're a musician as well. You're in those circles. But we also did everything in character. We would do interviews, sketches, like outside of the TV show, play at all these gigs, and that's all PR. Do you know what I mean?
You're like a press dream.
We didn't know that at the time. We're doing it because we love it. Do you know what I mean? But like, when you do another show, you're like, oh yeah, all you're doing is waiting on the little article that's coming through. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Unless you know.
Well, people would have such a reason to write about you because it is just, it's
they're like, who the fuck, what are they doing? They're doing music. Yeah.
It's going to piss people off in a way.
Exactly.
I'm trying to think of the word for it, but.
We're still doing like live gigs. Because we said we'd stop when the TV show stops, but it's just like they keep coming in and we just enjoy doing them.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a way of, like, some of us have got families, some of us have moved further away, like, got other jobs. It's a way for us all to bond and like be in the van again, chatting shit. And like a lot of the ideas come from that as well. Like, just in jokes or chatting shit. And then on the Monday, you might have something floating around in your head. Do you know what I mean? And it wasn't intentional.
Is it like
and that's
the
where the best stuff,
words?
Yeah.
You like say something you don't mean, or like...
Yeah, 100%, yeah. Or like weird word association. Like, a lot of the stuff in People's Nothing comes from that as well. Like, Beats does it a lot. You know, like Jason Statham, chasing status, like whatever. It doesn't even make sense. Chasing Statham. Yeah, like, so, but all those things just come up from us hanging out. So that I find them really important and fun. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's just, you know, you get a rider and get pissed.
And you cover your costs.
Cover your costs.
Probably even make some.
You know, we make money.
Make a profit.
Yeah, definitely.
Make it worth it.
No, 100%.
Yeah,
like it pays the bills. And that, no, definitely. We don't really need much. Do you know what I mean?
What are you working on now then?
Developing stuff at the moment. Stuff with the boys. Like, we've got a few stuff where we can't really talk about it at the moment.
Yeah, I imagine that's the thing, right?
Pretty cool things we're going to announce soon. That we've got a couple of ideas together, and then I'm developing this like other like more sort of independent film that's going to touch more on my Kurdish side of things with my other pal. But you never know, man. Like these things take time, and it's like we've been working so much. It's good to have time to actually be able to, I don't know, be creative and develop without a time limit sort of thing. Yeah.
That Kurdish background. Oh, it's not. It's like everything around you. Like it's like it's a shell, right? It's such a big part of you.
Yeah.
Have you found yourself thinking more and more about that, like, as you get a little bit older?
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, like I didn't care when I was a kid. Do you know what I mean? I wanted to smoke weed with my mates. I think my dad's telling me all about the history. I don't give a fuck. Do you know what I mean? I don't. You know, I'm embarrassed about the food in the home. All this sort of stuff. And then as you get older, also, you know, my dad passed away about 10 years ago as well. So from then, it was like a thing that I wanted to learn about more. And you know, I don't mean by, you know, just ramming the information down someone's throat, but just using that part of myself in my, you know, it is part of me. Do you know what I mean? Like even in Peacock, my mum's Kurdish in it, and I talk to her. It's semi-bitty, like an English kid that's embarrassed about their culture, sort of like a little bits of words, and she talks back in Kurdish. You know, because that is how I grew up, sort of thing. You know,
that's one of my favorite parts of that.
Yeah.
It's like you're really seeing into that.
Yeah,
seeing into the home.
Yeah. And she's like my mum as well, even though my mum's Czech. But when she says stuff like, I don't know, just like about
it's the girlfriend coming over.
Yeah, all that stuff. But even just like the more embarrassing stuff, just like
even more embarrassing.
Yeah, she's. I love my mum, but she'll just say it how it is, innit?
101 part-time jobs.
Yeah,
you must have done loads of bits and bobs. You mentioned earlier doing like the little bits, but around did it take you like a few months to get like paid initially when you first started doing
People See Nothing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Did you have that kind of fallow period where you're like, we're working on something sick?
Oh my God, no, the whole time. The whole first 3 seasons was like that.
Really?
Yeah, seasons I've been to LA. No, it's for time. So before that, I'd worked at Cheshunt Adventures.
Classic.
for like, actually the most money I've ever made outside of acting would have been there because... whatever.
Where were you stationed? I've just got to ask you, Cheshunt World Adventures, where were you stationed?
Oh, so I was stationed on the games. So that's one of the cooler jobs at first. So like the basketball, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's where they put the professionals.
That's where they put the professionals, exactly.
I've been calling you Alan the whole time. Seeper.
No, whatever. Like my name is Alan, isn't it? Well, it's Allan, but I never just
you correct people.
But that's what I mean. I've never corrected anyone in my life, so I'm like, my name's not really Alan, isn't it? So I then Seeper was a nickname that always just stuck.
I met Giles Peterson a few weeks ago.
Sick.
And I was like, nice name, obviously.
Yeah.
Share a name. And he was like, funny story. Well, not a funny story. My name is Gilles. But he was like, I just stopped correcting people.
Oh my God, it's the same thing.
Gilles,
wow.
Gilles Petersone.
Gilles.
Cheshunt World of Adventures.
Big time.
I'm a big fan of like the work fuck ups.
Oh yeah, so I'd always get fired from every one of my jobs. I think that's like an important thing to say.
Yeah.
Because you know, failure leads to success, of course, as I've got tattooed on my lower back. But like I got fired from there. Then I would do a lot of call center work because you could get that like that and you could just chill and sit. I was always really lazy physically as well. So like I didn't like sports. I didn't
sit in a new chair and reach for the dial. Where
100%. Like find a way to put my feet up, find a way to take it off record so I could just you know what I mean, chill.
Funny places,
amazing places. The characters you meet are amazing there.
Good for writing,
even though I wasn't at the time.
But it just like you get your brain where you find people funny.
Amazing.
That's the way you deal with it.
And it was around the time that, you know, I was sort of, you know, I'd probably had found out about The Office and thought, oh, do you know what? Like I was saying earlier, like you can find funny and not even sad, but mundane situations. You know what I mean?
Agreed. Yeah.
So that you're not bored out of your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And then I met Decoy there. I got sat next to him to shadow on a call to learn how to do it. And it turned out, and I smelled some weed, and I was like, "Oh yeah, do you blaze? Yeah, sick. Do you listen to hip hop? Yeah, sick." And then we were mates. That's all you need, isn't it? And then and then I got Asim a job there and Hugo a job there. So it was me, Dan, Asim, and Hugo, and our mate Fatty all on the back row, and we just always take it off record and just prank call people all day. Great. It was great. Actually, like in all seriousness, it probably was a bit of a training ground for like accents and acting and stuff like that.
Good Christmas party.
Great. No, we didn't even have a Christmas party.
Stick around long enough.
No, we probably wouldn't. It probably did, innit? But we'd be like loud. Right? We'd rather sitting in a freezing park blazing a zoo. Not even like anything cool. But that's when, we'd be like hello mate, it's RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan here. I'm just calling about, and you'd realise that no one, if you say things in a certain tone, people don't notice what you're saying, you know? Oh no, I'm all good, thank you, you know, whatever. And then I remember one, and we'd get fired one by one, but like I was always quite good with like, I guess like charming them and being like, and so they wouldn't know, and good at making sure it wasn't on record and stuff. And then Hugo one day got called into the office, and I think he'd spent a whole shift with it on record, and he was just terrorizing people all day with different accents. And then they just play it out loud, and it's like, hello there, it's Jizza from the Wu-Tang Clan. I'm calling on behalf of MF Doom or whatever, like just random shit to make each other laugh.
You know, a lot of Gen Z kids now, like, no one can afford to move out. No one can afford to pay rent.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what Brentford rent's like, but like outside of London, it's... So were you really expensive?
Oh, yeah.
Well, so how old were you when you moved out?
Not until like 26.
You joking?
Yeah. Late.
Wow,
Yeah.
your parents must love you.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Foreign family, they expect you to be there. Do you know what I mean? Like my dad had passed away, so my mum went from when are you going to leave the house, because I was getting nicked and stuff like that, and my dad was there, to suddenly be like, you know, you're not going to leave, are you? Stay, and you know, she got more sentimental. She started getting older.
That must have been quite difficult, actually.
It was, man. It was difficult, and you know, you'd have like, you know, everyone around, like aunties and like, you know, he needs to move the house, blah, blah. But at the same time, I was lazy. I didn't have any money. I remember being like, it's not even that expensive. And then I Googled online places in Kingston, but it was Kingston upon Hull. I was like, it's 250 quid a month. That's nothing.
Up and coming.
And I was like, oh no, it's like $1,000 a month. Now I'll probably just chill here actually. But yeah, it's cool, man. Like that happened. And then I moved out. Then when I did start earning some money, I got to pay her mortgage off, and do you know what I mean? And it felt good, do you know what I mean? I mean, I'd been there for long enough, do you know what I mean?
And I think this is worth talking about, because where else do you find this stuff? I don't know. There was no like how-to guide when I was a kid, and I even have older siblings.
Yeah, right.
And like no one really gave me any advice.
No, yeah, I didn't.
And it's like, how does it work?
Yeah,
like,
I didn't get any advice on anything though, really. Like apart from do well at school.
Don't fuck it up.
Don't fuck it. So the only option I have is to be a real good academic. Like, do you know what I mean? I know I'm not. You know, on the surface it looks like laziness, but I'm pretty sure it's just how I'm wired.
What was the biggest fuck up that you made at work? Did you ever get caught?
Yeah, one time I got caught. Before that, I was a cleaner. You know, like when, I don't know if you had the same thing, but my mum had enough that I wouldn't get a job, and I'd be lying about it and stuff. So she was like, Susan's husband Eric owns a, well, she doesn't speak like that, she's check. But Susan's husband Eric owns a carpet shop. They need a cleaner there on the weekends. Cleaner? I'm 16 years old. I'm meant to be blazing with my mates. But yeah, so I went there, and what I would always do in life is start well and be quite good at like manipulating the situation and charming.
It's because you're polite.
And then I'd very quickly give up. You know, like the next week I was like, oh, fuck this shit. I noticed that like he had a swivel chair. So I was like, and I was always so lazy. I was always looking to cut corners. And that's one thing I've learned in life, that you can't cut corners. But I was like, he's got a swivel chair. I could sit and hoover. So I'd sit on this chair and just swivel around hoovering, like, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not even standing. This is amazing. And then that changed to the week afterwards, basically just, if I just keep the hoover on, it sounds like I'm hoovering. It's not that dirty in here. So I'd have the hoover on while sitting on the chair and just reading. And he walked in and I burst up. And then he just walked back out. And then, he told my mum I was fired. And
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, so that's probably my biggest fuck up.
I had a good one. Similar thing. Mum was like, Giles, you need to get a job.
Yeah. Why?
Shut up.
I'm going to be a musician.
No.
Yeah.
I once had I was supposed to be flyering for the hairdressers and got like a stack full of flyers.
Yeah,
I went to the top of the hill and just put them in the post box.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I did actually feel a bit bad about that.
Yeah.
35 quid I got for that, maybe. It's good money back in those days.
I had before the cleaning job, I did do paper rounds, like I said. And again, it started with the best intentions. Like even like, you know, my dad would help me put all the flyers in, you know, that you get the flyers. You get all the adverts on flyers separately, and you have to put it into the page and that before you go out. And, you know, like they'd probably drop you off at the end of the road. Yeah, be like, yeah, let's help him, sweet. And then that sort of started fading out. And then next week, I just put everything into a bush down the road. And then obviously the guy in charge of the round or whatever just found it and dumped it on our things. Like, this was in a bush down the road. My mum went mental at me. I'm not the only creative or whatever to come out of my generation of friends when we were growing up. Like everyone was a DJ, MC, graffiti artist, or like a breakdance. Sounds like I grew up in 70s New York, but like,
I even think MC is funny.
But like, as in like, it was a different type of graph, more like London graph, listening to drum and bass, not hip hop, and breakdance like body. People used to body pop to garage and stuff like that.
What's body popping?
Body popping is like, you know, like doing that with your body.
Did you ever?
Yeah, I'll show you. Like that sort of
That's
thing.
pretty good. Yeah. So how does one get? I'm interrupting you here, but how does one get into that?
All those things are just being. It's just like how you got into music. Like your mates are like, you know, into like rock music or bands and stuff like that, and you're like, you naturally want to, you would idolize the guitarist or whatever. Oh, maybe I want to play the guitar, and that's pretty cool. Same sort of thing, you know, like all like the people in your area are doing it. So like pretty much everyone was doing something creative. Do you know what I mean? But they've all been told and led or taken by drugs and crime. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
There's sad stuff that goes on there as well, isn't it?
100%.
Because there are that party. That party's such a huge part of it.
Yeah, of course, man. Yeah, definitely.
So how to kind of stay on the right side of the
there'd be people that start with. I'm not saying that like these things are gateway drugs, but I'm just saying there were times where it would just be about partying and like going raving, drum and bass, doing pills, whatever, all these things. That turns into doing coke, and then that turns into some of them like smoking crack on the weekends, right? And then
just every day.
Some of them are just is still in the ends doing that, and that's their life now. Do you know what I mean? Like, but I say that to say, yeah, loads of people were creatives and loads of, you know, but like, I just don't think that it was ever nurtured in them. Do you know what I mean? Like I even think about my, like one of my pals was like a sick dancer back in the day, and now he works in like kitchens. He's got a great job in that, but it's like, oh, you used to do that. You know, that was your personality and you were a creative and stuff like that. But, you know, you were warned off it and told that you need to get a job and stuff, you know. I'm not saying that's what he wants to do in his job, but that's an example.
Well, it's a hard conversation to have because it's not like anyone deserves anything.
No, exactly.
But, But also like...
No.
I'm still pissed off that people can't just get a few £100 a month by making music.
Yeah.
If they're playing to a certain amount of level. Now, I don't know how you quantify that, but there's got to be something, because otherwise people just stop doing it. Yeah,
exactly. Because I guess, you know, there's a reason that like really rich, posh people play the piano or the violin, or because they'd have to pay the bills.
Or guitar. Or DJ equipment.
Yeah, right, exactly. Because they could do that, and it doesn't matter if they're getting paid for it or not. They can get to a high level doing that, right? But once you've got to start paying the bills and that, it's like, well, I might not be got time to just be body popping at a club. I'm going to do this. Do you know what I mean?
And that's funny. But we're missing out. That's the kicker. Yeah. Is that like, and again, it's probably quite earnest as well, but I do mean it. Like, we're missing out on that songwriter from Halifax or Hull or North Wales who's writing these amazing songs or great beats or whatever it is.
Yeah. I guess it's people willing to take risks as well. It's like, it's got to be in you to take that risk and like, I don't know, live in a shit flat with no electricity potentially, and then maybe make something and probably not. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's so many talented people. That's why I always say I'm lucky as well. I'm not just like, it's just me, I'm special. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's lucky that the stars aligned at the right time.
For sure. I feel lucky as well. And you know, I do think of this show as creative. Just want to have creative conversations. And I could only do it is because basically got fired when I was 28, went on the dole, girlfriend moved in. And had a housemate, you know, like all of those things combined, aligned. And it's like, well, okay, now's the chance. Now's the time to start something.
Yeah.
Because you can afford to do it.
When we first started People Just Do Nothing, the TV series, obviously on YouTube when we started, we weren't earning anything. That's when I was doing we were working part-time in call centers and all that sort of stuff. But when we first started the TV series, it would have been something like, something dumb, like it would have taken us a whole year to make, and we got like $8,000. Like, we're still under the tax thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, and so you're still going on with your part-time jobs or your little hustles or whatever. All of us.
This is the first series.
Yeah, first series when it's on TV.
Joking.
Yeah.
So were you not getting? And this is probably a pretty blunt question again, but were you not getting paid a salary from the BBC or the production company?
Yeah. And we also could go through the whole budget that was in our contract. There just wasn't the money for it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like it was 4 series on BBC 3, unknown talent that had never done anything. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
it's funny when you say it out loud. Isn't it?
Yeah. It's super lucky that we could even do that, but there's not that much money in it. Do you know what I mean? Now we'd get extra bits of money through like, you know, back end and writing because like with the creators and stuff like that. But that as acting fee, it was very low. You know,
you're basically skin.
Yeah, you're basically skin, and that would go up every year. And but again, that was our only job for the year. In TV, do you know what I mean? Like, so,
and I guess it doesn't take that much time filming.
Nah,
obviously you have like long days.
It takes you about 7 months to write because you got loads of drafts. You're not used to it.
And you get paid for writing.
And then you do, yeah. And then you do 6 weeks of shooting, and then there's a couple months of, or whatever, a month of editing. So it takes near enough a year. Do you know what I mean? So like, we were working other jobs. Also, we weren't getting recommissioned within like sometimes half a year. So you're sitting around. I remember I met up with Steve and like just for a drink after we had a meeting at the BBC and still nothing. And we were like, kind of almost like, I guess this is it then, isn't it? Like,
was this after the first one? Or
yeah. After the first one, yeah. And then the same thing happened with the second one. And you'd have these meetings where just you'd chat, but nothing would be decided. Exactly. And then we'd have a little drink afterwards, and you're like, sort of, are we a bit deluded? Like, what's going on here? Like, maybe this is a bit mad. Actually, maybe we are deluded, and it's not going to happen because what the fuck? Do you know what I mean? Something's got to give, kind of thing. And like, and it would happen again, and it's like, oh man. And then when we got, I think at the screening of like Series 3 maybe, or like Series 2, we found out that we were getting Series 3 and 4. Like, okay, cool.
You were winning awards?
Like. Yeah, for Series 3.
Right.
Yeah. So
none of that
we
stuff.
found that before, we got told that before that, and then boom.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
That's so you had enough times to jump out of it?
Yeah, man. Loads of time. Yeah, 100%.
And just think,
we were literally doing it for like, pretty much nothing, but always felt super lucky that we got to do something that we loved, and it's reaching people and that. But like, you know, again, there's no like budget for like massive PR campaigns and stuff like that, especially early on. So I remember Hugo Chegwin was making music before this, and he's like won Ivor Novellos and stuff. He made Emily Sandé Heaven and Next to Me, which are like huge chart hits. But this was right as we were starting, so he also wasn't used to it. But he'd seen that. And then he called me the night before it went out on telly, and he went, mate, get ready, because shit's going to change. Trust me. And I was thinking, I remember lying in bed going, oh, maybe I shouldn't have worn a cap in the series, because then now I can't wear one in real life because they'll recognise me. And then the next day it was like, yeah, the viewing figures weren't that good. Like hardly anyone watched it. Like, oh, right, okay. So that's what it was every time. Do you know what I mean? It built from being and it's still a cult show. Like, it's not like not everyone knows about it, but it built from being a cult show, from word of mouth and stuff. And yeah. That's inspiring, man, because I think a lot of people put stuff out and they'll get 20 views or 50 views or whatever. And like, oh, you know, it's dagger right in the heart. Yeah, man. Yeah, but actually, there is an element like that doesn't sort of mean anything, actually. Nah. It's like the quality of it. Exactly, the quality, and it will speak for itself, right? Like, and you just got to keep going, man. Like, there's no, this sounds so wanky, but there is no giving up. There's no failing. Failing is only giving up. Sorry, do you know what I mean? Sure. But it's you know, of course, if you are just one person on your own, and you're going to doubt yourself, aren't you? But again, I had these boys to lean on. Do you know what I mean? And that's what really kept me and each other strong. And I didn't know that about Hugo writing songs. Mad, yeah. He don't really talk about it. Like, people know about it, but like, he will never mention it himself. Like, I like to show off for him. Yeah, we're super proud of him. So he wrote songs for Amelia Sandé. Yeah, Sam Smith, Nirvana. What? Yeah. Nirvana. Sam Smith's track called Nirvana. yeah. He used to be on the road with Nirvana in the 90s. This is Hugo. Yeah, man. That's Hugo madness. Chegwin. Yeah, I met him through, like, I met these rappers at college, and they took me round their producer's house, and you know, I didn't know who it was going to be, if it was going to be like this serious guy, like making hip hop beats and that, and it was you know, young Hugo Chegwin, 4 foot of pure temptation. That's so sick. And then we were straight away like, it's like I knew him for years, It's like I've known him for years, and like, he was into The Office, he was into Partridge, we were into like watching shit docs that aren't meant to be funny but we found funny, and like, we'd start filming each other, you know what I mean? So he was always, music was his thing. Like, he was a sick, like, hip hop producer. Like he was into like, you know, like Tribe Called Quest, Jay Dilla, that sort of like real stuff. You know,
that's
like,
really cool.
And then he went on to he got a break in making pop music.
Good on him.
Yeah,
Does he still do it now?
He sort of fell out of love with it, and then we focused more on the acting stuff, and we did that for years. And then now he's coming back. In fact, this could be. I've got nothing to promote.
Get him on the show.
Yeah, Hugo Chegwin. He's coming out with his EP very soon.
Nice on. Thank you.
Nice
Thanks
one,
for the chat.
Big ups.
Appreciate the time.
Yeah.
Cheers for watching. This is 101 Part-Time Jobs. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, and all podcast apps. We've done interviews with Aurora, Kneecap, Idols, Lauren Maybury of Churches, and loads more. So tap into 101 Part-Time Jobs on Spotify, Apple, and all podcast apps.